The Admirals are some of the most powerful characters in One Piece and have been used as a benchmark for power both in and outside of the show. They're revered within the show, with civilians and the other Marines respecting the Admirals like crazy, while pirates often quake in fear in front of them unless the pirate is extremely powerful. The star of today's video, Aokiji, used to be an Admiral until the time skip, after which he deserted the Marines and went his own way. Extremely powerful since his introduction, Kuzan seems too nonchalant, too much of a threat, and sometimes maybe even an ally all at once. To top that off, he's now the commander of the 10th ship in the uber-powerful Blackbeard Pirates, which is loaded with a powerful crew, with Blackbeard himself and his commanders being freakishly strong. Aokiji's enormous power stems from his training, his overpowered devil fruit, and of course his haki. So in today's video, let's go over a narrative and anatomical breakdown for Aokiji to understand how powerful he truly is. Before getting into the content, we'd like to make a very small request to our viewers. Please subscribe to our channel, like and comment on our videos, and press the bell icon to be notified whenever we upload new content. We'd be grateful to you, and we'd hope to bring you the best nerdy content in the future, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Who is Kuzan? How did he become an admiral? Born in the South Blue 50 years prior to the events of One Piece, Kuzan joined the Marines at a very young age, much like Kobe. With innate talent and acquired skill in the line of work, he believed that he had already learned everything there was to learn from his Marine instructors and was ready for more. He sought out Monkey D. Garp, the hero of the Marines, to further his training to become his apprentice. Garp being Garp did refuse at first, but eventually he ended up folding to Kuzan's pleas and began to train him. The regimen began by punching ships, which was following the same philosophy of training with a punching bag, except Garp and Kuzan punched the bow of scrapped ships. The rule was to not use any haki or devil fruit abilities for the sake of honing one's raw brute strength. Because Garp and Kuzan spent so much time together during their training, Garp adopted a more relaxed attitude around his apprentice. Meanwhile, Kuzan claimed that despite being in the Marines, he never held the world government with high regard. This is quite evident now, as Kuzan has been willing to bend around the rules, such as letting Robin escape after the Ohara incident, and his current work for Blackbeard as a pirate. At some point, he got his devil fruit, the super powerful Logia-type Ice fruit. It's unknown as to whether he got the fruit after becoming a Vice Admiral or before, but either way, he was already a power user and a Vice Admiral during the genocide at Ohara. A Buster Call was called on the Island of Archaeology due to its scholars researching the Void Century and learning to read poneglyphs. Kuzan was among the 5 Vice Admirals, alongside Sakazuki, popularly known as Akainu, who was a part of the Buster Call. Kuzan seems to be the one responsible for deploying the CP-9 in Ohara to pursue the so-called criminal scholars. The entirety of the Marines present at that place, minus Saul, seemed to be 100% supportive of killing everyone on the island. There was a ship full of civilians who were not scholars, and they had the choice to flee, but Sakazuki went to order a hit on them to sink the ship and kill the people. Kuzan was visibly distressed over Sakazuki's need for absolute justice, if one could even call such a thing justice. Meanwhile, he went on to stop Saul, a former friend, from protecting Robin. Appearing as an antagonist, Kuzan's character raises confusion among the viewers when he maps out an ice route and lets Robin escape in a boat. He warned her not to think of him as an ally, but then went further to help her out by freezing the rudder of Spandine's ship, who had marked Robin for capture and was the person to call the Buster Call in the first place. At some point, Kuzan was promoted to the rank of Admiral, a position he shared with Sakazuki and Borsalino. He acquired the moniker Aokiji and became popularly known by that name. As an Admiral, he outranked his former mentor Garp, who, although stronger and more respected, refused to become a direct subordinate to the Celestial Dragon. How powerful is Kuzan or Aokiji as a former admiral? The Marine Admirals are some of the strongest characters in One Piece, especially pre-time skip, when they were nearly unmatched in the Paramount War at Marineford, unless they were opposed by the top tiers of Whitebeard's crew or Whitebeard himself. Aokiji, Akainu, and Kizaru are admirals, and as such are supposed to be relative or at least similar in strength, belonging to a similar tier. Hence why fans often use the term admiral level as a marker of a character's strength, proving that Aokiji and his peers are a standard for power scaling in One Piece. Aokiji had gotten pretty powerful before becoming an admiral or even a vice admiral. By the time he was done training with Garp, Aokiji could already make dents in battleships with his raw strength alone and make the armored hulls cave in. He was narratively introduced introduced as a ridiculously powerful character in the part between Long Ring Longland and Water 7 when he attacked the Straw Hats who had been joined by Nico Robin. Up until that point, the Straw Hats were never completely outclassed by any opponent, barring Zoro fighting Mihawk, but when Aokiji entered the fray, he was casually able to stop Zoro and Sanji and took a punch from Luffy with ease while holding the other two in his grip. By the time he left, he had frozen Robin and Luffy with no one having the ability to even touch him. Aokiji is often shown as lazy and relaxed, and he's verbally claimed to follow his philosophy of lazy justice. However, he was anything but lazy during the war against the Whitebeard pirates in Marineford. He withstood powerful armament hockey-laden attacks from both Marco and Diamond Jozu, but took very minimal damage from both. He was also able to minimize the damage Whitebeard would have caused by bringing tsunamis to Marineford by freezing the ocean water. He also avoided Whitebeard's tremor-powered attack mid-swing with his impeccable speed and responded by icing the pirate captain. He avoided another Whitebeard attack right after, this time countering his opponent's hockey by opening a hole in his body using his Logia fruit to his advantage. In Punk Hazard, he was able to subdue Doflamingo, who was about to kill Smoker. Aokiji was sneaky and quick enough to sneak up on Dofi without the warlord noticing him. Before Dofi could react, Aokiji iced him up good, saving Smoker in the process. On the topic of Punk Hazard, it's common knowledge that Aokiji is powerful enough to completely alter the geography of Punk Hazard, with half of it being an icy land due to Aokiji's long battle against the Magma user Akainu over the title of Fleet Admiral. However, the battle ended with Akainu's victory and Aokiji lost part of his left leg. He compensated for his loss in the Punk Hazard battle against Akainu by winning against none other than his former mentor and the hero of the Marines, Monkey D. Garp. Amidst the Egghead Island arc, Kobe had been captured by Blackbeard, who Aokiji had begun to operate under as a crew member following his departure from the Marines. Garp arrived at Hachinosu to save Kobe from the Lion's Den, and after showing off his terrific prowess with Galaxy Impact, he was eventually engaged by his former apprentice. During the battle, Aokiji took a hit from Garp's hockey-infused black hole, but managed to survive with some minor bruises. The two exchanged blows, with Aokiji fighting on par with the hero of the Navy who, at his prime, was considered to be on par with Roger. However, the present-day Garp is quite old and has claimed that he's not as powerful as he used to be, so Aokiji going band for band against him doesn't put him close to Roger's level. Ultimately, Aokiji is able to beat Garp due to the latter being weakened as a result of being impaled by an invisible Shiryu. What devil fruit does he use? How can it counter a devil fruit user's greatest weakness? Aokiji wields the Hiya no Mi, or the Ice fruit. This is a Logia-type devil fruit, which is one of the rarest categories of devil fruit, second only to the mythical zone. Every Admiral possesses a really OP devil fruit, with 4 of the 5 being Logias, since Fujitora's Press fruit is technically a Paramecia. It's possible that the higher-ups in the Marines already have access to really powerful devil fruits and train their members accordingly. Once trained, they give compatible devil fruits to those who are worthy of being an Admiral and will be capable of handling the power of said fruit, both physically and mentally. If that is the case, then it's how Aokiji must have gotten his really powerful devil fruit from his higher-ups, as he was already quite powerful having trained with Garp. Since Logias possess generation, body alteration, and control over naturally existing elements, Aokiji's Ice fruit gives him access to an unceasing amount of ice. He can turn his body into ice both in general and when he intercepts an attack, and this physical altercation is nigh instantaneous with him having a Logia. However, with ice being a solid element, Aokiji can still get physically hit from an attack instead of the attack passing through, but he still remains unharmed, at least until his opponent uses armament hockey to attack him, in which case the ice or his body can be shattered. While this might sound problematic, with the ice's ability to shatter coming off as a nerf for Aokiji, Logias can reform their bodies endlessly for the most part. This was seen when Robin used Clutch against Aokiji and he turned into ice and broke to pieces, only to regenerate from that ice into one piece all over again. As an ice user, Aokiji can obviously generate and control ice or freeze other objects. He was able to freeze Saul in Ohara and Robin and Luffy right before the Straw Hats left for Water 7. Saul had been frozen into a sheet of ice, with Aokiji using Ice Time Capsule to incapacitate the giant and Ice Time to encase him within the ice. Luffy and Robin were frozen into ice when Aokiji wrapped his arm around them, freezing them with physical contact. Once encased in ice, escape is extremely difficult, as the one at the receiving end cannot move and they can perish due to hypothermia or frostbite. External impact can also make their bodies shatter and kill them instantly. The only way out is for them to be thawed, which is how Robin and Luffy were treated by the Straw Hats and restored. Generation and control over ice allows Aokiji to make weapons from it, crafting them into spears, sabers, or forming swords. He created tridents against Whitebeard as well, but the issue with ice weapons is that they're fragile against stronger opponents. Aokiji's ice saber clashed against Zoro's sword without breaking, but back then, Zoro wasn't nearly as strong as he is now. Meanwhile, Whitebeard's tremors destroyed Aokiji's trident in a second. During one instance in Marineford, Aokiji created a giant pheasant and sent it flying towards Ace. This is a good addition because Aokiji translates to blue pheasant in Japanese. The ice is blue or bluish, so the attack launched is a flying blue pheasant by the man who's named after the same. At present, he also creates an ice leg to compensate for the one he lost to Akainu. However, Aokiji's greatest moments in Marineford revolve around him freezing the tsunami brought to the headquarters by Whitebeard. The frozen seawater also allowed the fight to continue there without people from both sides having to fight in water or touch base to fight on ground. While he had met the Straw Hats, he had dipped his hand inside the sea, and soon after, a Sea King emerged. However, Aokiji launched this very attack, known as the Ice Age, and froze the creature as well as all nearby seawater, showing just how powerful he is. We can conclude that he can freeze over several square kilometers of the ocean at once. He can also shoot beams of ice and launch freezing breath. The craziest part about this is when he froze the Sea King and the surrounding water, he mentioned how it would remain frozen for a week. The atmosphere of that area, or wherever Aokiji uses his powers, also alters. A hot summer day can become a chilling winter day, affecting the weather of that localized area. And this isn't a regular winter, but one with sub-zero temperatures and raging blizzards. Aokiji's weird, almost weather alteration creates an immense impact on the ecosystem of Punk Hazard, a dystopian island due to Caesar Clown's gas attack. Aokiji's battle against Akainu led to half the island becoming a permanent winter island due to his powers. It's possible that this was a result of his Devil Fruit awakening and permanently altering the geography of the island instead of freezing things for a temporary period. His powers also negate one of the biggest weaknesses that Devil Fruit users have, and that's seawater. Aokiji can freeze the water, which is how he travels across the Grand Line and the New World on his bicycle or his penguin. He continues to freeze the water, creating a path for himself to follow. The ability to freeze water, be it making sheets out of it or drawing lines for locomotion, allowed Nico Robin to escape the genocide at Ohara, as Aokiji had mapped out 2 ice lines for her to follow while in her boat to reach a nearby island. All in all, he cannot be negated using seawater or by being thrown into it, as he can simply freeze it. What's interesting about his Devil Fruit is that certain Logias seem to have an upgraded version. In Aokiji's case, Monet from Punk Hazard, who has the Snow Fruit, had the lesser version of the Ice Fruit. Is Aokiji weaker than Akainu? Aokiji and Akainu seem to be close in strength and have actually fought one another. During the fight, Aokiji lost and even had an elemental disadvantage against Akainu's magma. And yet, the fight went on for 10 days and left Akainu with a lot of permanent scarring. On paper, it seems like Akainu is slightly stronger, and that's the popular consensus as well, but we can make a case for Aokiji here. Firstly, there's Haki. Akainu might have the Devil Fruit advantage over Aokiji, but we know all that one truly needs is Haki. Whitebeard's enormous Haki was able to cancel out Blackbeard's Black Vortex. As an Admiral, Aokiji definitely has immense Haki and should be able to counter Akainu's Devil Fruit. The issue is, Akainu is an Admiral as well and might just have equal or greater Haki than Aokiji. So, if the Devil Fruit is where Aokiji is nerfed, he needs better Haki than Akainu to outdo him. So far, we know that he has Armament Haki and Observation Haki. He even used Advanced Armament Haki, or Ryo, in Marineford, when with Kizaru and Akainu he created a shield to negate Whitebeard's Quake Shockwave, and their combined Haki was able to disperse it. He even engaged in the exchange of blows against Garp in Hachinosu and seemed to emerge victorious despite only using Armament Haki, while Garp used a combination of Armament and Conqueror's Haki. Surely Garp isn't as strong as he once was, but his galaxy impact was more than enough to tell us just how powerful he was. He also narratively seems to be stronger than Akainu, and yet Aokiji Aokiji didn't lose to Garp in a battle where he didn't use his Devil Fruit, all while countering Armament and Advanced Conqueror's Haki with only Armament Haki. Based on this, we can say that Aokiji's Armament Haki should be stronger than Akainu's. However, the story's motives change certain things. It's been speculated that Garp let Aokiji win because at some point during the fight, Aokiji was able to get his point across to Garp and explain his way of justice and what he's trying to do. There is the philosophical concept of communicating through fists, and this has been seen across several anime, most notably Naruto. The phrase was mentioned via dialogue during the fight, which led to the exchange of blows between the former apprentice and the mentor. There's a part in the manga where Garp exclaims as their fists clash, and once he's taken out, he mentions how justice will surely prevail. He might have been talking to his team or about what Aokiji said and took the fall, which is how Aokiji was able to go toe-to-toe with someone as powerful as Garp in the first place. If this is the case, then we can't say that Aokiji's Armament Haki is stronger than Akainu's with any sort of certainty. However, there is also the flip side where Aokiji probably wanted to prove his merit to Garp by using Garp's training, or at least his way of fighting, against him, which would make Aokiji OP since he was holding back a lot. But then again, we can tell that Aokiji isn't a bad guy the way Akainu might be. In order of benevolence from least to worst, the order might be Akainu, Green Bull, Kizaru, Aokiji, and Fujitora. He did let Robin escape after all, and he has his own ideas about justice. He was mortified when Akainu got the rescue ship in Ohara nuked, saved Smoker, and he let Saul live. Based on that, he doesn't seem like the sort of person who'd be interested in humiliating Garp with respect to his power, so it's highly possible that Aokiji at present just happens to have an unbelievable scale of Haki. And yet, he lost to Akainu in Punk Hazard. The battle between the now Fleet Admiral and the former Admiral took place off-screen. It's surely something that would have been insanely popular with the fans, but we didn't see that fight at all. It's possible that somewhere down the line, the so-called lazy justice warrior Aokiji took a step back and allowed himself to fold, losing the battle to maybe win the war later. His idea of justice seems to clash with Akainu's more orthodox ideologies, and we can only get more information on this if we see the fight. Easter eggs, hesitations, and moments can show one party changing their mind and taking a different path. Maybe that's why the battle was off-screen, because Aokiji's true intentions had to remain a mystery, just like most things in One Piece. Marvelous verdict! We're really curious to know what Aokiji truly wants. He doesn't seem lawful enough to continue a career in the Marines. He doesn't seem evil enough to be an underling to Blackbeard. He seems to be more like a rule-breaking version of Garp, with both of them not agreeing with the Navy on many things, but while Garp and Kobe are the type to try and change things from within, Aokiji is the rebellious one who prefers to leave the nest. With Oda not letting us in on Aokiji's truth, it is possible that he has some heavy intentions with the character, which is why he's the most prominent admiral among the main three of them, starting from him saving Robin to now being under Blackbeard. And if that is the case, his ice power might play a role, as he seems to be the only Devil Fruit user who can stand against his weakness of water and use it to his advantage. With that, today's video comes to an end. Did you like it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section down below, and until next time, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.